This is exciting
Yes.
stuff. What's up, Johnny?
What's up, Johnny boy? Johnny. Yeah, nah, man, I'm super excited that this is finally coming out. It seemed like it would, the process would never end due to the weather and the snow. I think was the biggest thing that slowed it down the most to get that final day in, and I'm just glad that we were able to do so, and now we're sharing it. So
Yeah,
happy.
so let's get right to it. Let's get right to the share. I will I will pin your video. And then
Sure.
what we'll do is we'll basically we'll watch the video, and then if you have any questions or anything like that, we'll definitely talk a little bit about the making of the video, kind of some ins and outs as far as the production of it all, and take it from there. But
All
let's
right.
just do it.
All right, guys, here we go. I present to you John Fazio's Miles.
It was an accident for sure. In 1974, I killed a man. About time I bring it to the floor. In 1974, I killed a man. He never asked me for my name. In 1974, I killed a man. Yes, I'm the only one to blame. If I happen to walk on water, would it then be okay? If I happen to be your father, could I just walk away? In 1974, I killed a man. The poor man feels his life is empty. When he's rich, he feels the same. Materialistic architecture, no time to make a change. Doesn't seem like days anymore. It's just an endless road on my mind. I do what I want with my mind. Won't let you in on my mind.
Extra special thanks to Molten Java and Wendy for letting us shoot Molten Java for the very first scene.
Oh,
Yeah.
you didn't let your whole thing go through.
Oh.
Oh, what happened there?
Oh man. Oh man. Oh well. What a production.
Yeah, what a
Sorry.
production. We just dropped
Yeah.
the video link into the comments. So first off, amazing job with this. I mean, it
Thank you.
basic like I think that it's well noted that we have to kind of go a little bit of the backstory so people kind of understand where this all came from. And first off, this has been going on for. I mean, we try to. I figure we probably started talking about it in October, November. I would assume that like that's about the time that I said let's make a music video. I mean, I could be wrong about that. And
I think
then
it was September.
so my thought pattern was I knew that Jhonny knew his stuff from seeing What a Mouse and seeing the stuff that he had done before. So like basically what I did was I said, Jhonny, go onto my album, pick a song that you like, and then figure out, some sort of concept to it. And at the end of the day, like you want to give the artist the freedom to do that. And I knew that if I just gave him an open, road to do whatever he wanted, that he would come up with a masterpiece. So I'm going to throw it off to you. What was the first thing that you started thinking about as soon as I said, just come up with something and do whatever you want to do?
The lyrics. The lyrics. I remember the first thing I asked you was send me the lyrics, and you're like, they're on my website. I was like, easy, copy and paste, right? Right. Google Docs and printed it, and then kind of deciphered what it meant to me. And then I remember asking you, what did it mean? And it wasn't exactly what I figured it would. So yeah. So the first thing that I do with a music video, especially one deep like this, is to try to make a visual for what is being said or what it actually is about. That's why I asked you, and then that changed my flow of things. And then storyboarding, drawing pictures and storyboarding before anything, and then timing out the audio came later. So you want to talk about what the song is about?
Yeah. So, I mean, that was kind of interesting. Like, so actually, what was the first impression? So when you had first, kind of heard the song, what were you sort of thinking? And then because I know that when we originally had that conversation, there was sort of that, well, this is kind of what I was thinking originally. And like, there is kind of, I think, that part of music where, should it necessarily have a particular meaning or should it sort of be open for interpretation to the listener? So what
Sure.
was what were your thoughts originally?
My original thoughts were that I it's by listening to the song first on Spotify a million times. I my original thoughts were a journey that you're just a man going where he wants to go without stopping, determination, relentlessness, and I think I pretty much got that part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
No, that was awesome, and that's sort of the backstory of that. The song is just that. It's kind of about Miles is the interpretation of kind of life and taking your life and putting it into sort of that road because of the fact that we go in different directions. So that was the kind of my mind where Miles had sort of come into that, and then.
mhm.
Yeah, and then so starting the production aspect of it, first it was storyboarded, and then you went out and you scouted out different locations. I mean, this ended up being, I would assume, a lot bigger than you had originally even thought about.
Yes, it absolutely evolved from the initial thought process. First thing was locations. I know that I'll say this because I knew that the end of the song is so climactic and it starts off real slow. Because I also want to mention that the intro that we made for the video, that's a different song of John's, 1974, and I figured it would kind of build up to the actual song, right? So I was thinking location, 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 and me and John agreed that we should have a crowd, and the crowd eventually throughout the video gets smaller and smaller. So, and because of the pandemic and everything, that was a challenge. So we knew that we couldn't just go out and like mock up a concert or something with a huge crowd, or just jump in a big open mic or something and just ask everyone to follow along because nowhere's open.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I contacted my good friend Wendy Cahill, owner of Molten Java, and she was kind enough to let us shoot there. And thank you, Wendy. You are the
Yeah.
best.
Thanks.
That
It was a
after
fun night.
hours,
Yeah.
in just a very small audience, and everybody was wearing masks except for
Yeah, we
John, which is like
debated that. I mean, I
20 feet
remember us
away.
having that conversation whether like should we include masks, should we not include masks? And like, you kind of have to figure that it is I mean, it's kind of looking at that period and, if years from now or whatever, it kind of goes back to it was 2020 when we had, originally started this and we're still,
Mhm.
using masks now. So it wasn't necessarily a bad thing to have the masks in the audience, but that was certainly something that we had thought about or contemplated whether we should do that or not. But
Yeah,
I think just,
yeah.
making people comfortable. And thank you so much for the people that had showed up because it was, it was a weird time. Originally, it was sort of last minute when we just got the time. So there was maybe 3 days, for people to
Hmm.
actually be able to come down. And then there was
Right.
some scheduling issues with some people that were supposed to show up that weren't able to. But regardless,
Hmm.
it kind of goes back to the process and moving people around and like you got the shot at the end of the day because
Yeah.
you're good at what you do.
Thank you. Yeah. It ended up great. I don't know. So then we went to uh, the other locations. So
Mhm.
we knew that. So we had different concepts of what was going to happen, which kind of not dictated but contributed to the flow of the video and which way it would go. And originally we had an idea where, because if you notice that throughout the video, John's writing. John, you want to talk about the writing a little bit?
Yeah. So originally the thought was sort of like a bucket list or so, because the process or, where the music video goes is kind of that when you watch it, that decline and then eventually, the sort of disappearance, you could put that up to interpretation, how that goes. But that's what it was kind of the molding of it. And then once, it's interesting that even as the piece was being developed and produced and recorded, like we're still sort of changing things and molding it. Like I'm pretty
Mm-hmm.
sure that even up until, the last, I don't know, the last minute or whatever, that we were still kind of playing around with some ideas to it. And I feel like at the end of it, it all just sort of came together. But that's where, I think having that creative mind of coming up with ideas and not, I don't know, not being completely stuck to what you're, I don't know what the original concept was, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, no, definitely. It I agree completely.
What would you say would be the hardest part of the shoot? Like, looking back at it in hindsight.
You got to give me a minute. Wow, there was a few things. Um, the hardest, well, I guess the hardest thing would be, I don't know. I don't know. There was a lot of tricky things. I think one of the things I'll say is scheduling.
Yeah.
I think was the hardest thing for this. Um,
The weather.
and
That was the
and
hardest thing for me anyway.
yeah, and also I guess the little hikes that we had to take for the video. I could not, I just want to give a big shout out to my buddy Shaquille Wright, good old
Yeah.
Shaq. We could not have done it without Shaq. I ask him to be a part of everything that we do when he's available. And he co-directed this, which is a first time thing for him because I wanted to direct it, but I wanted him to have some say, not just help with the video aspect of it, but actually come up with some creative insight. And he did. He actually came up with an original idea of the time lapse. So it went a little bit differently than we had originally sought after, but it was his idea that there was a time lapse at all in there. So
And there was also a
yeah.
few other things that you hadn't done before that you did through this. So there was the time lapse, but then the at the end the hand being taken away. That was something new for you, right?
At the what?
The at the end with the hand being taken away, like that was that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, so for post production, Yeah, so we knew from the start actually that we wanted to do some a little bit of special effects. So
Mhm.
we did the when John's character John at the end when he is no longer with us, we without being graphic or anything, we wanted to show um, from the fingertips and just dissolving, so it's I've done similar things to that. I have, but not outside. So the tricky part of that is definitely the lighting. Figuring out if we were going to use a blue screen, no green screen, because everything's green out there and about to get much greener.
Yeah.
So it was either a blue screen or a double exposure. So to get a little technical here, so we had to just take the shot with John's hand there, then another of the same shot without his hand there, and it involved a bunch of masking because there's shadows in the background and everything. So I guess that was no, no. You know what? I lied. The hardest part of this video was the friggin' record player. Actually,
You're putting it. It's amazing. Honestly, it's very. If you guys knew that I don't actually have a record that of 1974, and when you watch the video, yeah, it did a
yeah. It was tricky because the camera's moving. I'm on a gimbal and the camera's shifting, of course, and so you have to track the motion on top of that. And the one friggin' hard thing about it was the thing in the middle that I don't know what to call it, but that the spins around. That had to be photoshopped.
Oh my god.
PNG does a transparency, then put it on, then that while the rotating happens. So that was definitely back to the original question. That was the hardest part of the video. And I did that like 2 days ago. Honestly, that was the last straw. I was like, that's it, I'm done. No, I'm just kidding. But that was the last thing that I did. That in the special thanks page. So, you know what? You know what I want to do right now? I think it's appropriate. Let me open up my Photoshop. I want to give a special thanks to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Verbally. So let me just do that real quick.
Yeah, okay. I mean, you would think, like, when you look at it, you really think that it's maybe even looking back to it, we probably should have just made a print to put on it.
I thought that a lot the other day. I was like, we should have just printed it and made a template for
just print a label, throw it on there, make it look good, and just
yeah, that is a good example of don't just be that guy that goes, we'll fix it in post. 20 minutes would have saved about 6-7 hours, but nah, it was fun. So I want to give a special thanks out to everyone who was at the Molten Java shoot on the first day, whether they were there the whole time or popped in or whatever, just for being a part of it. I want to thank once again Molten Java, Wendy Cahill, Kyle LaDukes, Neri Leal, Shannon Taylor, Corinne. I don't know her last name, honestly, but thank you, Corinne. Joseph P, Cindy Cade, and Mike Rogowski. Thank you guys for all showing up. And that was big. Amazing. It would have been a crappy looking crowd without a crowd.
So. And that's thanks to you too, because that was actually the first time that I've had an in-depth conversation with some of those guys like Kyle and had great connections with them, and very happy that they were able to come out. And again, it looks great. Like those shots of having just the small crowd there is it's just amazing.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Sweet.
So,
yeah. Go ahead. What were we saying?
No. All you.
Oh. So the video is now on YouTube. I'll put some links onto the Facebook page. And I'm just, extremely grateful for everybody that was able to put this thing together. It was literally just one of those ideas that I'm like, let's do a video. And like, even, my thought originally was I didn't really want to have anything to do with it as far as like being in front of the camera. I just thought I was like, I'll give it to Jhonny. He'll figure, come up with something. And then he's like, well, actually, I want you to be involved in it. And, I need you to do some acting. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, you'll see how horrible the acting is because I'm not an actor, but I think we got through it pretty well.
No, he did great. He did great. And let me tell you, some of those days, I want to add a few details here. Now that you mentioned that he didn't.
Yeah, let's do it. Open it up.
But when some of the days we were shooting, the one in downtown Danbury on Main Street, it was like negative. I
It
don't
was
know
cold.
how freaking cold it was.
It
So
was
we
the
had
beginning of January.
it was the beginning of January. We had hot hands supplied everyone with, and our
Yeah, shout out to
gloves and
Hot
our
Hands.
boots. Shout out to hot hands. What did you do without 'em? Saving kids' fingers while sledding as a kid and making snowballs and stuff, but into cast members of a music video as well. So,
Yeah,
so not
pro
mutually
tip, I put a
exclusive.
hot ones on the back of my neck, and it's actually it's pretty nice because it does like a nice warming on your back.
Yeah,
Things that you learn.
yeah, and gee, in John's physical abilities, let me tell you that on the last day of In the Woods, we actually shot that at Terry Weil, and then finished it up with the table at the very end scene at Bear Mountain in Danbury, both in Danbury, and those were not close together shots really, and so we had John running and running. Nope, let's go again. Running. John's like out of breath.
And not a
Like
runner.
take five, and then we'll just go at it again. You know, he was a trooper. I know there were times, John, where you were probably ready to kill me. I know,
I mean,
but
it's
that
yeah,
determination. It was
that's what it
he
is. You
was
got to get the shot.
yeah, and we did. And aren't you glad now that I put you through that?
Yeah, I mean, looking back at it, like you could see, even when we did the shoot in Danbury was cold, and then the last shot. So like we could kind of talk about that a little too. We
Mm-hmm.
didn't have a drone or anything like that. Like that shot of coming up was literally like Jhonny holding the tripod and the thing going up, but like
Yeah,
if you knew that was, I mean, that was it. Like I was done. I mean, that was like one of the last shots, and like my hands were freezing, my body, because we had been there all day, and that was basically it. And like me screaming that song was sort of part of that, like just getting it all out there. So it's amazing that
yeah,
we were able to get that shot too.
yeah. You did great. And to be honest, we only took 2 takes of that because John's fingers were frozen numb like a popsicle. Everybody was tired. It was an eight
Yeah.
hour. That was at least an 8 hour day. We
Yep.
started. We started at 10, and it was getting dark. Yeah, no. So for the last shot, I made like a imitation crane shot. So it was just
Yeah.
me with a gimbal going up, and then that's a shot we actually planned in the storyboards originally. It was at the very end, make it like this epic. Originally, I was gonna have it with his hands up and everything, but it was better with the guitar and just zooming out, and it did. It kind of looked like a drone shot, and that's kind of what we were going for. It also very similar to that is when the guitar case opens at the end by itself. That
Yep.
was just a C stand just lifting it with it pointing straight down. Me and Shaq, ask Shaq, it's the truth. We were both standing crazily on this dilapidated picnic bench, if that's what it
Yep.
was. I don't know, but it was
There was
perfect
like
for the day.
inches between you guys falling off on each side.
Yep, and the C stand itself with the camera, and the thing rotates. So I had Shaq holding up the monitor from on an HDMI cord going from the camera, I don't know, about 3 feet out. And then as I'm going up, he's like tilting the monitor. So we had to keep doing that. I think that was one of the hardest in terms of single shots that I know would actually look good in the
Yeah.
end. That was one of them. That and some warp stabilization for all of you
Oh,
aware of the
shout out to
Premiere.
Shaq's sister for writing off the miles, right? Isn't that who did it?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, Shaq's sister did that. But
Yeah, because
yeah,
all of us have horrible handwriting. So when you see the lyrics at the end of the video, I wrote Miles because it looks like a child, but the very detailed, like beautiful writing was not done by any of us.
no, very true, very true. If I did it, it would look like slime. It would say slime. It's the same
It's
word, just in different variation of letter, different order.
Well,
Yeah.
it's been a hell of a ride, and yes, I very much appreciate it. I got some more ideas for you in the future, so I don't think you're
Let's do
you're
it.
you're done with me, and I don't think that the rest of the world have heard the Last of Us.
No, no, it was an honor working with you, man. It was really, really fun. And was it 4 or 5 days total? It was at your house for the intro, Bear
Yeah,
Mountain,
it
Molten
was
Java,
4 days,
Danbury.
4 days altogether.
4 days. Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. 4 days,
Yes.
a shitload of hours on your end.
Yeah. So let's do another one.
Yeah, no, I'm working on, trying to get some songs together for possibly another album this year. It's a lofty goal, but it's very possible. So maybe we'll have some more. But I got some other ideas that I may be using you for. So, but check out What a Production, Facebook.com/What a Production, Johnny Parks. Check out John Fazio Jr. And then, yeah, let's share the video. Let's get it crazy out there and let everybody, know how great, What a Production was.
Thank you so much for the kind words, John.
Cool. Thanks, Facebook land. We'll talk soon.